Technique does not matter. If you can hit the ball well, it doesn't matter how you hit the ball. So the reason why this is so important to emphasize is because many people overemphasize their technique, and that gets in the way of them training their other skills like footwork, strategy. For example, take Medvedev. He's commonly nicknamed Octopus for his unorthodox technique. He has beaten Djokovic to win the US Open and has obtained the world number 1 ranking. He is regarded by other players as a machine that's able to get every ball back in play and never miss. This is generally the opposite of what you would expect because you expect the players with the best form to be able to make the ball all the time. The players with the worst form do struggle to make the ball in the court. So this leads me to why do people develop less aesthetic technique? You've noticed that I'm using less aesthetic here rather than worse technique because if you analyze professional tennis players with weird technique, with goofy techniques such as Medvedev, you can see that all the components of a proper forehand are there. He split steps when the opponent contacts the ball. He has a proper unit turn. He has a proper racket takeback. Although it looks a bit goofy, he has a good racket takeback. He coils his body and he unloads on the shot and has a good follow through. That is what you need on a forehand. Because he has those, any of those other goofy stuff you see in his form are actually okay. So the reason why people develop these kinds of weird technique is they usually start off with good form. Medvedev did not start off his career, his junior career, when he just started learning tennis with this kind of technique. Is as you play more and more, your technique may shift and change. You see this with like Sinner. When in his junior days, he had a bit more of a modern technique with his racket face a bit more to the back fence. Now you see that his racket is more horizontal, more like a next gen forehand. Don't worry if you don't understand what modern and next gen forehands mean. It just means the style of a forehand form. So we have to understand about people with goofy technique is that it actually takes a lot of talent in order to hit the ball with the goofy technique. You look at Medvedev's form, his form is huge, his swing is huge. You have to have very good timing, able to time the ball properly when the ball bounces, able to swing so you don't hit late. There's very little margin for error. So these people are actually incredibly talented in order to hit these kinds of form. With correct form, it's easier to time the ball because it's just a lot easier to actually hit the shot. You don't have to work so much. You don't have to have so good footwork or get yourself in position or to hit your goofy shot. So at the beginning, I said that technique doesn't matter, but that's only if you hit the ball well. This is a big distinction. A lot of people think that, oh, it's just about making the ball inside the court. No, that is not correct. If you just make the ball inside the court, that doesn't mean it's okay. If you make the ball inside the court, but if it's weak and your opponent can just attack and do whatever they want with it and hit winners all over the court, that's not good. So this is different from basketball because in basketball, a bunch of people with weird shooting forms, like Jokic is like a prime example of this. But he's able to make the shot in the basket, and that's what matters in basketball. But in tennis, you need to have good depth, good pace, good spin. You need to have a decently heavy ball. Otherwise, you make the ball at the court, it won't do any damage to your opponent. So if technique isn't what you should focus on, then what should you focus on? Well, you should focus on your footwork. It's commonly known that the best players like Alcaraz and Djokovic, they have the best footwork. Sure, they have a lot of power in their shots, but footwork is the key. If you're not in position, you cannot get yourself to hit the best shot you possibly can. A lot of those top players don't actually have the best forehands, the best backhands on tour. Sometimes they just have the best footwork. They can get themselves in the best position, hit the best shot that they possibly can hit. Another thing that is very crucial for you to understand is strategy. You know, like when to go high and deep on the ball, when to go pace, when to go slice, when to go to the net. All of these are important things you have to focus on and learn. You cannot just skim over those and focus all purely on technique. And while hitting, you should focus on, let's say, net clearance and depth rather than on their technique, because that's what holds a lot of people back is when they're hitting, they focus too much on their technique. You want to focus on these other things. When the ball is short, move forward. When the ball is deep, move backwards. However, I have lied to you a bit. All I said earlier is true for just high-level players. It is a completely different story for beginners and people who are new to the game. Technique for people who are new to the game is one of the most important aspects for beginners to focus on. Most beginners don't have the strength required to hit with their goofy form. A lot of people use like a pancake serve or like the waitress serve, and like they have like this really weird takeback on their strokes with a completely open racket face. That's not gonna cut it. You're probably actually gonna struggle to get the ball over the net with that kind of technique. The other problem with not having good technique as a beginner is you develop a lot of injuries Tennis elbow is an injury that's basically reserved purely for beginners because it just develops from people having bad technique. And what you must understand is that all players start with good form. Even Medvedev started his career with good form when he was very young. He was definitely taught correctly how to hit his forehand. He did not get taught whatever goofy stuff he's doing right now. So if you're a beginner, you must focus on your technique. What I recommend you doing is doing a bunch of shadow swings to get the technique down. If you need some advice on like what tennis YouTubers to watch, I'd recommend Carousel and Intuitive Tennis and Top Tennis Training. Those kinds of YouTubers can help you develop your form. So make sure to do a lot of shadow swing. Don't use the ball, because once you use the ball, your form might change. That's just how tennis works. Alright guys, thank you guys for watching, and tune in for the next one.